first, let me tell you why I went from only lifting and only doing lifting, let me tell you, to incorporating yoga as a part of my weekly fitness and health routine. So right now I train 4 days a week. I run Stronger by the Day, which is a powerlifting style strength program. And then I do yoga anywhere from 2 to 3 times a week consistently. Back in the day, I used to randomly go to yoga classes, always telling myself that I wanted to make it a part of my routine. And I think since April or May, I've been consistently going 2 or 3 times a week. The biggest reason why I started going to class and why I was more and more motivated to go and make it an actual routine of mine was because every day I would wake up and I would feel like I was 90 years old. Like I would just wake up, my neck would always hurt every couple of months. I'd get like a crick in my neck or whatever you call it, and it would leave me not wanting to train. I would wake up in pain. I couldn't sleep because I was in so much pain. I couldn't move my neck. I had no neck mobility. I would have to like turn around like this. So that was something that had consistently happened throughout my adult life, and I was just tired of that happening to me. I mean, after months and months of doing yoga more consistently, I haven't had one of those. I had one slip up where I was traveling a lot and I wasn't going to yoga, and I got a crick in my neck again. So I'm not saying that to say that yoga is going to solve all of your physical pain and ailments, but for me and my experience, I think just doing anything different, having some sort of cross training or variety in your training will help in physical pain, especially if you're lifting a lot of weight and feeling some pain. I think switching something up or adding some sort of contrast or something to complement and help that, whatever that may be something you want to look into. So for me, yoga has been the answer, and yoga has been the thing that I've been consistent with in doing. So other than pain management, I've also found that yoga has been an opportunity for me to meditate and quiet my mind. A lot of times when I go to class, it is the only hour in the day where I'm not staring at my computer or my phone or always grabbing my phone. It really is an opportunity to work my parasympathetic nervous system and just do something that's a little slower paced. So hopefully that gives you perspective. I turned to yoga because of pain, but it has been something good for my mental well-being. And now I'm going to give you guys some tips on if you're interested in starting a yoga practice, on things that I learned along the way that might be helpful to you if you're thinking about trying some yoga, or if you've done it before and it never stuck as a habit. So my first tip is to set the mood. If you're gonna try it at home, I really recommend trying to recreate some sort of cool, trendy yoga studio vibe. I like when yoga studios are dark, so if you can get some mood lighting, some candles, what have you. I like it when they're dark. I like it when they smell good, and I like my yoga mat to be nice and cushy and cool feeling. So if you can't set the mood at your own home, then I'd recommend doing that. I'm using a couple things from CVS that help do that. You can get yoga mats at CVS, so at your local CVS, or if you click down in the link below, I have this oak and reed yoga mat that I've been using. Also, I love spraying something that smells like lavender. This is the Asutra Mist Your Mood. This is good to spray on your yoga mat before or after your practice. It smells like lavender, chamomile, and essential oils. Or you can do something like a different essential oil. I have a reed diffuser also from Rare Essence that you can also get from CVS. So all of these things just kind of set the mood to get me in the mindset, put my phone away, and just focus on moving my body and breathing. You can find all those products that I mentioned at your local CVS. So if you're shopping for the holidays and you need an idea for someone who's into yoga, you might want to check out some of the options that they do have at CVS. Again, CVS is rolling out a ton more health and wellness products to reframe the conversation of self-care, to be less about the bubble baths, which are great, don't get me wrong, and face masks, and more about an overall picture of your health and wellness. Okay, let's get into more tips. My first tip is to try as many different kinds of yoga, different studios and classes and instructors as possible. It took me a while to figure out which instructors I actually liked, and let me tell you, I have had a couple of classes where I just did not like the instructor so much that it turned me off of the idea of yoga. That's not to say that bad instructors are a dime a dozen, but I have my favorite instructors and they keep me coming back. So the actual person who is teaching the class keeps me coming back. One instructor I love because every time I'm in her class, I learn a different and new pose, and I'm pushing myself and pushing the social boundaries of yoga every class. So it's always something new and fun. And then my other yoga instructor that I see during the week, I love him because he's always giving me like a little like motivational bit and always, you know, giving me like what I need to hear. It's not that they're like the perfect yoga teacher, but you'll find someone who kind of fulfills the gap that you need. All that to say that I think you should experiment when you're first getting started with different kinds, different instructors, and try to find one that you really like, because the instructor themselves and maybe even the style itself is gonna be the thing that keeps you coming back to class. My next tip is to push your strength, but not necessarily your stretch. I feel like there might be a better way to articulate that, but basically what I mean is that if you're someone like me and you're a heavy lifter, you're super strong and you're comfortable in the gym, you may feel like you don't need to go to yoga for a strength workout, but I would still encourage you to push things like your core strength. Make sure that you're not lackadaisical on some of the arm holds. For a while there, I would like be in warrior 2 or 3, and I just wouldn't hold my arms up there because I'm like, this is hard on my arms. I don't need to do this. So it's just giving myself an excuse to get out of the hard poses. But whenever you feel a resistance in strength, I would recommend, even if you're a super strong person, to keep the hold and push yourself in that way. But when it comes to overstretching or doing something that particularly is painful or uncomfortable for your actual joints, I would recommend to not push that. So push your strength, but not your stretch or your hold if it's painful on the joints. So there are some poses that I don't do. I mentioned I have neck problems. I don't do any headstand just because I don't have anything to prove. I don't need to do a headstand. And I also stay away from certain poses that aren't the best feeling for my knees. This isn't the best position for me in general. So I hope that makes sense, to think about pushing your strength, not your stretch. Okay. My third tip or lesson in my journey is that some people are just more flexible and mobile, and it's not necessarily an indicator to how good they are at yoga. So don't be intimidated if you find that you're the least mobile person in class. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're the noob. I myself am just a more mobile person. I used to be proud of that, but it's nothing to be proud of. It's just how I was born. I mean, it's cool in ways because it helps me in lifting and sometimes, but it can also be a detriment to lifting, where I overstretch or get in positions that I'm not actually active just because I'm mobile enough to get into them. So just keep that in mind when you're in class and you see other people who might seem better than you. Being flexible or being mobile isn't necessarily a skill. My next tip is to realize that the conditions will never be perfect. Do you hear the street cleaner right now? Hopefully not too much. My point is, sometimes when we set up in a studio or in practice, we expect the conditions to be perfect because it's our time to quiet our minds and focus on this one thing and have the perfect day, hour, 10 minutes of yoga. And the fact of the matter is, it is never perfect. One of the biggest lessons that I learned from one of my instructors is that something is always going to go wrong in your life, and during the hour that you choose to roll out your mat, something's going to be loud and annoying, and you really have to use it as an opportunity to quiet out the rest of the world and just focus on your breath and recenter yourself. That is a great exercise because I practice in Los Angeles, and over the past couple of months they've been doing construction outside of my yoga studio. So it has been a good exercise to ground yourself and realize that conditions are never perfect. One time we had a fire alarm go off in the middle of class, and it was just an alarm, like a test alarm. It wasn't a actual fire going on, because that would be different. And when that was going on and the alarm is going off while I'm in down dog and trying to focus, he explained that a lot of yogis will be so ambitious to go on a retreat like in Bali or Thailand. And he said, you still have distractions there as well. Those places are very hot There's bugs everywhere. So practicing outside may not seem like this, you know, completely serene, perfect. Those aren't perfect conditions either, even when we want so badly to get out of our homes or get out of our spaces that are so distracting. You're still gonna run into distractions during your practice there. So just realize that if you're home and your dog's bothering you, or your kids are bothering you, or your kids are loud, or your husband's loud, and there's all this stuff going on, just realize there is no perfect environment and try to work on working around that environment. And my last tip is to realize that any yoga practice is more than just a workout. It may be natural for someone who's used to being in the gym and focused and training really heavy and intense to want to go into another hour practice or 30 minutes of practice, however long you're practicing. You might expect to get a sick workout where you're sweating like crazy. It was really hard and you're just gassed after. That might not always happen with a yoga practice, and that's a good balance if you are used to doing something like that. So realize that the yoga is not there just for a physical activation. It's not just a physical process. It's also something that you can use in other aspects of your life, in your mental and emotional health and well-being, which are all key to you being the healthiest version of yourself. Okay, so those are my tips. That is my yoga story and journey somewhat. Really, I've just learned that incorporating the yoga practice has helped my headspace so much. I've tried so hard to have a habit of meditation, and for me, I like that I can move my body, make it feel better in the moment and have long-term health benefits physically, but also it is just an awesome opportunity to turn off my phone, shut out the rest of the world, and not be distracted. In the gym, I am so distracted by my phone because I have rest times and wait times where I'm just like filling the space by typing to you guys probably. So yeah, it's just been a nice opportunity and a good outlet for me to live and thrive in a physical way. Okay, I hope that this was helpful for you. Let me know if you guys are yogis yourself, and let me know if you have any other questions about it or want to see specific videos. I had a couple of requests on previous videos to do something like this, so I hope that this was what you were looking for. All right, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.